Welcome to Morally Corrupt, a show here on the Ringer reality feed. I'm Rachel Lindsay. She is Chelsea Stark-Jones. And later, Jodi Walker will be joining us as well. We have I was going to say jam-packed. It's always jam-packed, right? Because we can't help ourselves. We just really get to talking. But we're only doing OC, which we got the reunion this week. And then we're also going to do Salt Lake City, which they went on a trip, which you know is a recipe for disaster, which we love here on Morally Corrupt. You guys, don't forget, you can like and subscribe, or you should like and subscribe to our Ringer Reality TV YouTube channel to get all your favorite Ringer Reality podcasts there. You don't want to miss all that content. If you need to catch up, go for it. It's there. And you get to see us. Okay? Not today. I'm looking quite rough. Okay? I'm recovering.
No, you're not. Always beautiful. We're the women in black today, Rachel. Look at us.
We are the women in black. Side note, I know you are a married woman, but I tagged you in a post, which I've tagged before when I tagged Morally Corrupt, that you suggested that I let everybody know what time I was drinking on Higher Learning. And I got a lot of messages that were like, ooh, I didn't know Chelsea was fine like that. Well, you want to see how fine Chelsea is? Make sure that you subscribe and like the Ringer Reality TV YouTube channel, because you can catch more of Chelsea Stark-Jones. Now, be respectful. She is a married woman, but she is fine too, okay?
Married women like compliments.
Yeah, she still got it. Miss Quad. You watch Married to Medicine? Miss Quad, Quad. She got it. She got it. Gotta get into Married to Medicine.
That put a little extra pep in my step this morning.
You got it. You got it. Okay. Before we jump into these recaps, we're going to hit the news of the week, which we haven't really had a lot of that lately. But today, we're coming in with some surprising news. Real Housewives of Dubai is being put on pause, allegedly. I mean, this is coming from Page 6, so there's probably some, it's probably true. But after 2 seasons, it's getting shelved. We have no idea if it's going to come back, if there's some sort of timeline for its return. We do know that they are doing a Real Housewives of London. And so it brings up the question of, will Caroline Stanbury move back? Will she make an appearance? Does she move from city to city to follow a reality show? We don't know. Time will tell. But Chelsea, were you shocked by this news? Are you going to miss Dubai? I personally thought Dubai was a great season.
I thought it was a great season too. I am a bit shocked. And I feel like Housewives and Bravo, they'll let a show go on for a little bit before they pull the plug. So it must have been an expensive production. I'm assuming getting people out to Dubai, just maybe it wasn't worth the money. But yeah, I'm surprised. I really like Talene. I would have loved to see where Lisa Milan and Chanel Ayan's relationship went. So maybe it's a good thing. Like maybe they can have a true friendship now that there's no show in the way. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise. But I do also wonder if Caroline will move to London to be on the reboot of Real Housewives of London. Or not reboot, but the new Real Housewives of London.
Yes. I think she will at least make an appearance. Like, hello, ladies, you're in my city. Or my former city. I think, when you think about the reunion, the group is so split. And it doesn't seem like there's been any reconciliation between the ladies, that I don't know how you continue. And it seems like that might be it. Which, to the ladies, I'm like, why do y'all keep messing up your bag? It can't be that serious. I am sure there are other franchises where these women can't stand each other, but they suck it up. They make it happen for the bag. You
have to.
And I said the first season that they should break off and it should just be the Caroline. No, not the Carolines, because I didn't want Brooks. I said it should be Stanbury, Lisa Milan, Chanel Ayan. It's crazy that group isn't even aligned anymore. But I don't see the show the way the splits are. Talene, Chanel, Stanbury, I like them. That's fine. But who do we bring in to fill it? I think there's just too big of a split. And it seems like it's hard for them to find women for this show.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine a lot of women are probably in marriages and relationships where you can't be as outward and crazy as some of the women on the show are. I mean, I think every housewife franchise runs into this issue of finding housewives that are willing to let their
Yeah.
whole lives out and on display. Especially the housewives that we want, the wealthy, affluent women. Like those ones
Correct.
aren't necessarily going out. I'm very grateful. I know you and Jodi are going to talk about Salt Lake, that Bronwyn is her
Oh
husband.
my God.
He doesn't give a fuck, and he's like, okay, go ahead, honey, but I ain't standing with this bullshit. And
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
happy for her, for us, that we get to have her in our lives. The pure surprise and joy of these women going into that Palm Springs house, like it was the nicest thing they've ever seen. Like I was dying.
I mean, it was
but
$20,000 a night
yes. So
in Palm Springs.
yeah, in Palm Springs. Yeah. So it is hard to find these like really fabulous, wealthy, affluent people that are willing to get down and dirty and bare their souls. You have to be a special kind of crazy, but I also think really financially secure
Yeah.
to be able to do that and not,
Yeah.
care about perception and stuff like that.
And here's a suggestion. Maybe it becomes Real Housewives of the UAE. And I don't know if they're allowed to go into other cities, but that would encompass plenty of other cities, including Abu Dhabi. So maybe we spread our wings here and we go on a search, okay? A search for the ladies of the UAE. But I don't want to see it go away because there was such an improvement from season 1 to season 2. I was more invested in these women.
Yeah. It was a big leap. It
continue.
was a good season 2, I thought.
Yeah.
So.
I thought so too. In other news, maybe not so much of a disappointment. We know this Southern Charm is the premiere is amongst us. It's coming soon, December. And we're getting pretty much everyone back and a new cast member. One person who you either loved him or hated him. He was kind of what's the word? Not controversial, but a prick, but he's polarizing. That's the word I was trying to.
Yes.
Polarizing, a prick too. Pick your P word.
Yeah.
And and that is JT, okay? He was a pest, another P word as well. A pest,
Triple P.
A polarizing, pesty prick. That was JT. And I think that, it has been announced that from him, he's confirmed it this morning, as if we were all asking, that he will not be doing the remaining confessionals and won't return to the show for any reason sorry, for a second I had to freak out that my microphone wasn't picking up. Okay, sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I guess I'll start that over. So JT announced, as if we were all asking, this morning, he took to social that he will not be doing the remaining confessionals and won't return to the show for any additional responsibilities. I didn't know we needed this. So he goes on in his announcement to say that he has done 9, I believe, but he won't do the remaining 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
If I'm disappointed for anything, it's that I want him at a reunion. I don't know if that means he won't come to the reunion or if he's just done with ITMs, but I need him at the reunion. Whether I like it or not, you got to tie up the loose ends.
You got to answer for your sins. Yeah, I feel like I've been hearing a lot, specifically from Madison, that she hated him this season. Like she was not happy with him. He was, it seems like, the central pot stirrer. In the trailer, we saw him like flirting with Vanita. And then now I believe he has a girlfriend. So it feels like it was
flirting with Vanita.
Yeah, like saying he feels like she might be the love of his life or something like that.
No. He's trying for a storyline. Where's her man? We met him last season. What is happening?
I don't know if he's around, but yeah. So he seems to be the core of the drama, which, I mean, he was we needed him last season. He did stir up a bunch of shit and brought a lot of things to light, which was well appreciated. But apparently, I'm not a Swiftie, so these songs mean nothing to me. I can't tell you what the lyrics are and the lore of them, but 2 cast members one new cast member, Ryan Albert, seemed to like reply to this news by posting Taylor Swift's "Karma" on his Instagram story. So whatever that song means, you Swifties know it, you'll decode it. I mean, the title says enough for me to understand. And then Madison, also seemingly to reply to it, posted another Taylor Swift song, "The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived," which works in two ways with JT, because he is quite short, and morality wise seems to not have a good moral compass. So people seem to be happy that he's gone, but to your point, I do think we need him at least for the reunion, especially if he is a central part of cast conflict.
I hope he's just throwing a fit, because we've seen JT throw many of them last season. And I'm hoping he's just this is a reaction. Hopefully they'll be able to reel it in. I am curious as to what went down to why he is so upset he can't even do confessionals. But either way, it's a good tease for this new season that it's so much that he can no longer be attached to it. But it also makes me nervous that he is going to be a big part of this season, which I don't know if we need that. You know, because we're getting to that point. What are we on? I don't know what season we're on, but we're getting to that point with Southern Charm where people are aging, or they should be aging, out of it. You know, it's like, how many times can we watch Shep run around and terrorize these women in Charleston? Craig has, moved on and is settled and building a house full of pillows with Paige. Like, these women, Madison was trying for a second child. She's married. Yeah. These people have aged out. And I fear JT is going to be the main character this season.
Yeah.
And it was just too much for him to handle. Not everybody can handle the spotlight.
He can't continue to stand on stools to get his voice heard.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. I am excited for Southern Charm. I do think there are other. I find the Craig stuff interesting with Paige. Especially, it seems like he's outgrowing his current friendships with Shep and Austin. So like, how that plays out. Madison is always interesting to me. I like to look at her. I like how she dressed. I like her home. I like how she talks. I think she's funny.
Yeah, I like Madison.
So I think there'll be enough there, but I do have a feeling that he's the cause of a lot of the issues, which, who knows, maybe they're fun issues.
We shall see. JT,
we shall see.
Have your moment. Take a beat, but come back for the reunion.
Go off, diva.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into OC. We've got the first part of 3 of the reunion, which I love. And it's crazy because as I watched it, I thought we kind of touched on so much in the first episode. What is coming in 2 and 3? But not complaining because I want to see it all. Tamra, I appreciated, was quiet. This, she wasn't screaming or yelling, which she still had her tips. She still, wasn't reasonable, couldn't apologize. She was still Tamra. She just wasn't screaming. And I actually really liked that this episode.
Yes.
I was watching some of Watch What Happens Live, and I cannot think of it was Connie Chung, and I can't think of the actress's name.
The older lady. Yeah. I didn't watch it, but I know who you're talking about.
They asked her something about Emily, and she said, Emily needs to find something to do. And that made me laugh. Do you feel that way watching Emily this season and during the reunion?
Specifically during the reunion, because it was like, no, I read the court documents. I know what happened between Ryan's case. It felt there was other moments. It's the Katie thing. Like, it was just like, Emily, like, take a seat. Like this. Yeah. Go back to working, whatever. I really did like Jen's read, and I wish we would have sat on it more of, I read that your in-laws fund your whole life. Yes, like Emily, it seems like you literally have nothing to do and you're just coasting on by with those in-laws. Shane doesn't take up any court cases. Like, what are we doing?
That was
like,
funny
leave
too.
me alone.
How many cases does Shane have?
Yes, I wish people would have given Jenn like some side eye and shade remarks there, because she landed it. But yeah, Emily is just like all up in everybody's business, and I need her to she needs more than a hobby. She needs to get back to like party planning or trying cases.
Oh, I forgot she wanted to party plan. Yeah, I understand what's happening to Emily, because as a retired lawyer. Recovering lawyer, some might say. Sometimes you miss the litigation of it all. I don't think she was a litigator, but I could see her being one. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. You miss that. And so you try to find ways in your real life to recreate these legal scenarios so you can like...
The thrill.
Yeah, you can stretch that muscle just a little bit. Flex that muscle, just a little bit. And that's what I see Emily doing. She even went as far in this episode to say, I would know, I'm a lawyer. Of course I know this. She's like, Emily probably was doing back handsprings when this legal situation happened, because she thought, I have one up on these ladies because I have experience in a way, even though this isn't her lane, like her area of law. As she let us know in this reunion, I did all the research so I could fully speak to this. I think Andy asked what happened or can Jenn explain it? And Emily was like, I can explain it. And I just was like, I get it, Emily. I get it. I look for ways sometimes in real life too to litigate a situation, because a part of you misses being able to do that. So I laughed when I saw this because I understood her. Emily, I saw you.
She's seen. You were seen by Rachel Lindsay. Yeah. I did, for the simple fact of she laid out some hard truths that maybe Jenn didn't want to hear. I did appreciate that. She very much clarified what we said last week on the podcast, but what wasn't said in the finale. So appreciate her doing her due diligence of a recovering lawyer, and reading the court documents, or probably the People magazine article about what happened.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. To be honest with you, it didn't sound like she read any legal documents, but it also seems like Jenn does not understand the definition of immunity. There was one point where she goes, that's his best friend. And then she was like, yes, he turned over his computer, his phone, and I was like, he's working with them, Jenn. That is
like, poor girl.
I was like, oh, Jenn, Jesus. Like, yes.
I love you sometimes, but girl, let's use this. Let's use this up here.
He is working with them. She's like, he's not talking to them. He had a couple of Zooms. He's working with them. I don't know what else to tell you. She's like,
they're like, how could he get immunity? And she's like, well, just because he talked to them. He talked to them and they gave him immunity. And it's like, no, Jen, like that's literally, he ratted out his friend in better words and in simpler terms. And he got immunity, which good for him. He had to do what he had to do. I guess, and my legal expert here, him housing the money through his bank account, like what crime would he had committed through that? Is it wire fraud?
Well, they said laundering.
Oh, okay. So because it's his bank account.
His name is allegedly, according to Emily, it wasn't just that it was his bank account. He moved money, according to Emily.
Yeah, that's what People magazine also said. So because he transferred the money into okay. So okay. Look, it's wrong. It's illegal. You can't have illegal bookies, but like it's gambling. Like I don't know. It wasn't like they were going and moving drugs or something. Like they were going to gamble in a Vegas casino. Like I it's wrong. It's illegal. I get it. But like the severity of it and the way the women are like so emboldened by like, this is awful. Like it just doesn't match to me. Like Brooke's faking cancer is worse. And like I
for sure.
There's more smoke. Like let's call it what it is. Like it's
But,
gambling, it's crooked, but like he didn't kill anybody.
no, but it's more so of like kind of what Emily was screaming at Jenn at the end of the Tammy Wynette Stand By Your Man. And even, oh gosh, I apologize for not remembering this actress's name. They asked her about Jenn and she was like, I mean, Ryan could commit 34 felonies and she'd still stay by his side. And it's true. And I think it was more of, you're right, it doesn't rise to the level of Brooks lying about cancer, but it definitely is like, girl, this might not be the best situation for you.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, oh, like, Jenn, come on. Like, save yourself.
Yes, I agree. Jackie Hoffman is who you keep referring to.
Thank you.
Yes, I had to pull it up for you. Yeah,
Thank you.
is. Look, when Jenn clearly didn't understand what immunity was and how it works, like I was like, oh, this girl is just a little we know she's a little dependent, but she's also just like not using the brain a little bit. And that does worry me for Jenn. Like that does worry me. I really hope that this opens her eyes in some ways, which it doesn't seem like it has, but just like allows her to see that I can't be so trusting of this man that I'm about to marry. And I need to think a little harder. Just a little harder, because I have children that are young. They're not adults. And I can't be so naive and I can't not think. So those are things I wish for her in this marriage.
Hopefully she's learning to have like an exit plan. Like hopefully she's stashing some money to the side.
Yeah.
I mean, she does have the paycheck from the show. So hopefully she's got a plan if things don't work out. But again, he's got immunity. So, she should be fine. She got that ring on her finger. These are things that she can cash out on. She can cash out on.
Hopefully Ryan doesn't. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, she was smart enough though to like stand by her man in this. Like she wasn't going to lose the roof over her head.
No, yeah, and I guess that's another part of it. She's kind of stuck there for a little while.
Somebody who kind of got on my nerves, Gina.
Who? Oh, Gina. Okay, tell me why.
She's got to go. She's got to go.
Because she has not enough going on, or
nope.
Okay.
She's not willing to get down and dirty with them, and like not even a little bit. And I'm not saying she's got it, but like. She's no reaction to anything. Gina's reaction to everything is like, well, I was a little upset then, or no. Shannon was awful to you. And I'm not saying that you and Shannon can't make up, but you can acknowledge how Shannon was. Like she was it was almost like she had taken a sedative. And it was just very much so like, I'm not gonna, and maybe she comes alive in episode 2 or 3. Maybe it wears off. I don't know. But she was so like, I don't want any drama. Even her reaction in the season finale, when Tamra brought that up, it was like, I got she wanted to shut it down and she should have, but she also didn't go there with Tamra. So to me, there was a moment in this reunion where we could have seen her say, I was mad at you, Tamra, for bringing it up, and let me tell you why. And Tamra, this is what you always do, and this is why Shannon doesn't want a friendship with you right now. Like I needed that energy. Emily was giving it, and Gina was just like, That'll get you kicked off that couch and off this season. You gotta go.
That's fair. I agree. I do agree with that. I do see your point. I do think that she was trying to play it a little too cool, and maybe she felt like Emily's hopped up. Heather got hopped up. Maybe I just need to play the straight character in this and not get too high on my own supply. I don't know, but I do appreciate her standing by Shannon and not flipping on her to give Tamra more ammo and whatnot. But yeah, I guess you're all right. She could have she could have been a better ally to Shannon by like going in on Tamra in that moment of like, your guys' little twisted game is fucked up. I don't like how you use me as collateral damage in this. Yeah, I get she could have been stronger there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And also, when the Katie situation happened, Katie was your friend. You brought her in, and
Yeah.
it was only Katie versus Heather. There was no Gina saying, you lied on me about this, or you said this about me. Even when Katie turned to her and said, hey, Gina, I owe you an apology for saying you were stirring things up, she gave us nothing. I don't like that.
I don't like it. I do like Katie. I'm sorry. She has a whole lot of mess and she is an onion, and I want to pull back those layers. There is so much there that I just need to know more about. Like she presented herself so like well put together this season, and now I'm just like there is something brewing under that facade, and I need to get it out. Like all the stories that were being told, I was like, who is this woman? She a con woman? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, she honestly sounds like a con woman. And it's too much. It's like where there's smoke, there's fire. And even watching the episode back and like the thing with her daughter and then the paparazzi, it was like, okay. But now when you couple that with everything else, like if the story is true, which I think it is, about her following that man home, especially if the video is him, it'll be easy to, if he recorded her, it's easy to see if she was on the side of the road or if she was in a neighborhood.
Or in a neighborhood.
Because
yeah.
Because his version is that she pulled up in the driveway. And when they said the neighbors came out, she didn't refute it and say in that moment, no, that's not possible because I was on the side of the road. She goes, I didn't see any neighbors. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
She followed that man home, which is cuckoo. And this man got
with
injured.
Children, with young children in her car. Yes. So I will have to say, I was curious about this story. So I Googled the headline.
Yes.
That they flashed up. I did have to Google the entire headline for it to be able to pop up in my Google algorithm. So I don't think it was like an easy story to find. Like this was either they dug for it or it was fed to them by someone. So for them to say it was all over the internet, it wasn't. There was one article, which was In Touch Weekly, which I'm sorry, I don't who reads In Touch Weekly nowadays? I don't know. So it wasn't easy to find. And yeah, Heather articulated it perfectly, which also is just like, you guys had these like bullets in your head. There's a lot of stuff in this story that you had to remember to get straight. And it was in 2005. It was a while ago. So like that cell phone footage is definitely it's aged. But yeah, she seems kooky. And I want to know more about her. Like when they were saying she gave up custody of her kids, which is another thing that Emily was put her law hat on, and really hammering home about physical and legal custody. How did they know that? Like they got some intel on Miss Katie. They were trying to dig it up, which I appreciated, because now I want to know, like, did she have to live in a women's center? Like, it's like for a time, like when she said she didn't have a home, like there's so much there that I'm just like, what?
It made it seem like there was abuse on her husband, like from her husband's side. But you know, I can't remember the thing that it was that she said that made me think, wow, was there a domestic violence situation? But then I thought, but if there was, how could he? I mean, there could have been, and there's just no reporting of it. But if there was reporting, then he wouldn't have been able to get the kids in that way. I just, and so there's a lot to unpack there. But unlike you, I was so frustrated and confused, and I don't believe a word that comes out of Katie's mouth. And I
don't believe her either.
She looked, I'm trying to think of what the word is. Not nervous, but like, she wasn't the Katie that we saw in the season.
She got found out. Like the Scooby-Doo mask, we pulled it off and it was...
The Katie of the season was confident. She was a badass. She had this perfect house with this like easygoing husband that just plays golf. And she just seemed to have this beautiful life. And I'm not saying that she still doesn't, but to learn all of this, it's like, oh, there's a lot of mess. And that house they were living in wasn't theirs. Now, I wondered, I was like, he seems to be a golf instructor, so maybe he comes from money, but I don't understand how they're living in this house. And it turns out it's not their house. And even the house in San Diego was leased to own. So there's a facade about her life that I don't know if I want that. Now I feel like she was a very desperate woman to come on this show. Sutton is jumping in the mix saying she feels used. I feel like she was doing what she needed to do to position herself to get on the show. And now it's all unraveling. And you said you want her there because she's like an onion, peeling back all the layers. Chelsea, I think they peeled everything back.
I need to hear.
It's a blossom.
I need to hear more.
It's an onion blossom.
It's a blooming onion. I need to hear more. I feel like there's more there. And at least I want to hear her spin of it. Like I do. I find her to be fascinating. And maybe I just have a soft spot for her with her daughter and whatnot. But I don't know. Like I think that there's more there that I'm curious about. And that, look, maybe it'll give Heather some like villain energy because she hates her. I liked when Andy asked for their intentions and Heather's response was, I hope to remain friends with mostly everyone here. And we know by that she means everyone but Katie.
Yep. She is done with Katie. Let me tell you something. Heather was practicing those monologues in the mirror. Heather said, wait, I'm not finished, because she was like, line 3, word 15. Like she was like, I am not done. Wait a minute. I am not done. And Katie just sat there and let her and took it. I'll be damned if that would have been me. But I don't think there's anything that Katie could say because she got.
She got.
I even like the paparazzi of it all, her admitting, okay, well, it wasn't. I confirmed it wasn't Heather. It came from a friend of Heather. Do I think Heather had people take pictures at Disney? Yes. But we always knew it didn't directly come from Heather. This was a game of semantics. But and then Katie said something too, where she was like, I'm hoping to clear some things up, or I want to own some things. But she didn't really own stuff. Like I wanted her to be like, listen, I took the paparazzi thing too far. She turned to Gina and she apologized, but I wanted more from that because that was such a confusing conversation.
Yeah.
I just think I look at Katie and she's everything I don't want in a new housewife. I don't want you to be a fan of the show. I don't want you to be desperate to be in this friend circle with these women. And I don't want you to lie about what you have. More Bronwyns, less Katies. That's what I want.
I'm gonna stand on the other side and say bring her back for a second season. Whatever. I just want to see it. I don't know. I find her to be fascinating. I want to see her again. And for it to be fully exposed, I guess.
The only reason I can't see her coming back is because her only friend is Jenn, and Jenn's not enough for you to latch your
Shannon kind of was trying to take up for her too.
Shannon.
But I think Shannon was. No, I think Shannon, as like all the stuff was being said, was like, oh, I don't know if I could stand by this.
No, Shannon doesn't give a fuck about anybody but Shannon. Like Shannon, what does she say? I'm working in therapy on healthy boundaries. Katie don't fit that. Katie's outside. Katie's outside.
She's outside.
We gotta let it go.
Looking in.
I can't see her. And remember, this was filmed a while back, and at the reunion, it still doesn't seem like Katie is friends with anybody except for Jenn. And Jenn's not enough for her to stay on the show. So I'd be shocked if she stays. And if she does, then we got a lot to work with.
Yeah.
And starting with, where will she reside? Where is she residing?
Where's your house at? Where you stay at?
Okay, well, that's it for it was a good reunion. It's been a while since I said,
good.
Hey, this is a good reunion. We know usually the second episode is a filler episode. I don't think I saw a preview.
We got a preview.
Did we?
We get Jesus Jugs in part 2. So
great. Never mind. I take it back. Take it back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see her. All right. Well, we'll recap it next week. we'll put a pin in OC and head on over to Salt Lake City. Less Katie, more Bronwyn. Jodi, let's hop right into the Bronwyn of it all.
It's
Jodi,
all Bronwyn. It's only Bronwyn. That's all there is to talk about.
I gotta say, I love that she throws her wealth in our face. And it's not even in a tacky way. Of course she's taking a PJ to thermal. Not Palm Springs Thermal.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know what that is.
Exactly.
As in the fabric inside of an LL Bean jean? Like, what is it's thermal?
We now know better.
No.
We now know better.
I'm not rich enough to know better.
Yeah, of course they're staying in a $20,000 a night house in thermal, which, that means it's huge. Of course, they fly somebody out just to show her diamonds that she's already looked at.
And you know how they're rich? Because that person is so mean. That jeweler is like, it's like she's not catering to them. She's like, I cater to such wealthy clients that like, I am exhausted by my own job. That's when it's not just kissing. It's like real wealth. That jeweler is like, yeah, pick out whatever you want. I gotta go. I gotta go see Charlize Theron. Like that is true wealth, is like the meanness.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then the opposite end of it, they're looking at 10 karat, 20 karat total diamonds and that are millions and millions of dollars. And Angie's spread eagle on a float, tapping water to get a ball.
I would just like to say that I equally appreciate the vibe that Angie is bringing to this situation. Like, you got to be rich, yeah, but you also got to have fun. And I have appreciated that more and more that we've gotten to know Angie. I was like, who else would be doing this with their husband? And Sean just seems to kind of put up with it. She knows how to have a good time.
Yeah, no, she does know how to have a good time. I really am enjoying Angie this season, but I loved the back and forth that they were showing because it just shows that Bronwyn and Todd are on another level. Mm-hmm. And we should be so gracious or so grateful, that they are gracing us with their presence. Like that they are giving us their time. That's how it feels.
I'm not going to go that far because I like watching that they are rich, but I will not personally cater to their richness. But it is kind of like that. And I think that like, that's what we're seeing in this episode is like, okay, Todd's very rich and so is Bronwyn. Do we like that? Is that good? Or does that make them, I think the jury's still out on Todd. Like, I do like how much he loves Bronwyn. And I like how serious he is about their relationship and how protective he seems of her and her daughter. But does that come out of jury's still out for me on, does that come out of a care for Bronwyn? Or is it out of a sort of like, these people are annoying, these people are below me, this is all annoying, this is women's business. Like there is a little bit of his annoyance at it and the shortness that I kind of just can't tell. Like if this trip is for them, like as a couple, it is being framed as an anniversary trip, then I think that he has a right to be sort of like personally mad. If the trip is for Bronwyn, then there can be an annoyance there, but these are also her coworkers. And like, he can protect her, but there's a certain amount of like meddling that I'm keeping my eye on it. But there was something about Seth arriving on the PJ that gave me comfort. There is something like about Seth and Angie that is like, just a little more socially capable, or they keep it light, like they keep it jokey. And so knowing that the husbands were fighting and that Todd is like, on a hair trigger to like get upset, I was like, I'm glad Seth is here. And then, Seth went and ruined it by just his classic line, I got to get back to Ohio.
Gosh, I will say you're totally right about Seth and Angie. And there's even a moment where Todd and Seth are together. And I think Bronwyn's like, Todd found a new best friend. It's like, it's everybody likes Seth. He just seems to be that kind of guy. He doesn't take anything too seriously. But back to Todd, when Todd was in the pool too, just to go back to my point of, I think he wasn't all, he gave us more than I thought. When the women start arguing, you can tell he's kind of like, it's happening. This is exactly what I didn't want. And he floats over there on the floaty. And he's like, why don't you guys call Heather? And I thought, wow, I wasn't expecting him to say that. And he really was kind of trying to calm everybody down. And they were like, well, that's why we're arguing.
Mhm.
And then I think he was done. And then to fast forward to the conversation he has with Bronwyn when he's over it, he's like, this has been going on for 3 hours. So it probably was ruining his buzz. They'd probably been sitting in the pool for 3 hours. He was a little raisiny in the heat. You know, he might have been a little dehydrated. You know, Todd is probably the older one in the bunch. And I think he got real cranky after 3 hours.
Yeah, he's not cut out for this. And the scene that you have pointed to where he floats right over to the hot tub and is, you know, like Chris Jenner style, like, why don't you try calling Taylor up? He's like, why don't you try calling Heather? And Angie goes, we did, Todd. Thank you. Like, it's so like, baby, like you actually have no idea what calling Heather would. We're so like 3 steps ahead of you on this drama. Heather's already been called. We've hung up and we've moved on to like the 3rd ring of hell. It's just like that was funny and kind of surprising, but I think it does point to that, like, they're actually working above his head in terms of like social torture, that like he kind of thinks, what I was getting is that like he thinks that he kind of is at the highest rung, but like they are doing such like wild psychological things he couldn't even imagine. And while that actually might make him like better than them, it is just, he's sort of out of his depth. And this is clearly not a man who is used to being out of his depth. And but then what trumps all of that is that this is his trip, his and Bronwyn's trip that they are paying for, have invited people to. And so like, yes, they should be catered to. You should not be picking fights with them, which is, you know, I love Lisa and I appreciate her for all of her skills and gifts as a housewife, but I've like literally never been more mad at her. I was like, I'm so annoyed. To quote her, I'm so annoyed.
I've been very exhausted by Lisa, and she does give us great TV, and we obviously need her on this season. But in real life, I just couldn't do it. And I love that Bronwyn was able to pinpoint exactly what it was that Lisa was doing. And somehow Lisa has this skill and ability to totally detach from any logic and reason to make herself right in a moment, or make her, like, she can't apologize. She can't acknowledge she's wrong. She's like, well, I'm doing this because of this. And she can't see anybody else's side, which is almost a miracle that she's been able to what seems to truly be a very successful marriage that she has with John. And we know like a foundation of marriage is being able to communicate. And it's wild that they seem to be able to work it out. But in friendships, she just has there's no empathy. Unless as Bronwyn said, it deals with her. You have to give all these things to her, but do not expect it in return.
It's a great point that like she can't see like logic and reason with herself. She just kind of like moves forward like a juggernaut, like a shark. She just like, nyah, 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 nyah. And she has met her match in Bronwyn, because like Bronwyn is extremely logical, extremely reasonable. She's also like, Bronwyn will say things, and I'm not like, I mean, I'm all in on Bronwyn as a character, but there were times during this episode and last episode where I was like, you sound very condescending. But it is because she is like smarter. I just think she is smarter, and she is like,
and direct
and like working on a higher EQ, like her emotional IQ. She'll say certain things she says about her and Lisa's friendship. that they've been friends for a long time. She feels like this is a breaking point. And what's really notable for her is that Lisa isn't mourning the breaking point. Like, she's not mourning the loss of their friendship or this wedge in their friendship. She's just sticking more and more stuff inside of it. And I think to like recognize in real time that someone isn't treating something with the care that they should, if they actually care about it, is like a really high level personal skill that is very rarely shown, even though I'm sure it exists in other housewives, it's very rarely shown, where like on Housewives, it's generally just like loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. Like, who's loyal? Like, you're not loyal. You don't have my back. And it's like, no, Lisa, you don't have Bronwyn's back, because I can see in real time that you do not care about this friendship the way that I do, because you're not putting care into it. You're calling Heather from the hot tub when Heather is talking shit about Bronwyn and completely, let's be clear, misconstruing their conversation at her house.
For sure. That's Heather does that. This isn't the first time, I can't point to an exact example, but this isn't the first time we've seen Heather really manipulate a conversation in her favor that doesn't fully capture what the essence of it was. It's like, I don't think there was anything wrong with what Bronwyn did. And if you really, even without knowing the context of the conversation, the fact that Bronwyn called her over there and is admitting that she also was like, I'm trying to do this so we can be okay moving forward. What's the problem with that? Like, how, I just don't, and Lisa is allowing room for Heather, but not for Bronwyn. And I just don't see. And then Meredith, it's like Meredith might need to go too, because Meredith seems to be so afraid to be on the bad side of Lisa again for fear of another rant that she blindly supports Lisa in all ways. That's what it feels like.
Right.
I miss the Meredith that gave more of an opinion and stood up to it. She so doesn't want to be a part of the drama. She so doesn't want to be the focal point of the season again. And it seems like she's just like, yeah, Lisa, whatever you say, Lisa.
I am like just absolutely dying to see if Meredith's new hearing aids like contribute to the plot at all. If she is like better able to hear what is happening, and if that will affect her engagement level or not, to quote her. Like, that was such an incredible reveal that she got hearing aids. And she was like, I love my hearing aids. Like, this is the best change that I could have ever made to my life, which, seems incredible to be able to hear better. And she was like, and they also act as AirPods. So I can just turn on a podcast and tune these people out. And maybe that's why podcasts have become such a big plot point on this show. They need to stop listening to all these podcasts. This is not for you.
The random tidbit of Meredith saying that Sean, who we said stays out of everything, is on a podcast.
Who's having Sean on a podcast?
Oh my God. Sean is using, Sean said she's using Brooks to deflect from her own issues. That doesn't, we haven't even seen Brooks in such a long time. Like, it's one, as you pointed out, who's having Sean on a podcast? Two, why are we talking, like, this doesn't even, why is this the topic of conversation for Sean to talk about? Like, give us hair tips. Give us business owning tips. Give us hat tips.
Honestly,
Page boy hat tips.
Keep the hat tips. That's probably what he was probably on some, like, bro-y give us business tips podcast. And then he was like, let's talk about Brooks. It's just, it's always coming up. And the interpersonal drama that happens off of Salt Lake City is so weird and so podcast driven. These gals are wild. I would like to, since this is the Bronwyn episode, I would like to quickly circle back, honestly, to the premiere and make sure, because it's possible we've talked about it before, but I also don't think we could ever talk about it enough. Have we talked about that she named all of her like 8 dogs after House of Cards characters?
Yeah,
Do you remember?
We mentioned it.
Okay, let's talk about it again, because this episode opens with her and all of these dogs in matching pajamas, first of all. Then we jump to that the dog tried on the dog Freddie, named after Freddie from House of Cards, tried on Charlize Theron's Oscars diamond choker. The dog tried it on. And I'm just honestly like, I can never not think about that when I see the dogs. And like, it speaks to something so weird about Bronwyn. Like, Bronwyn is weird.
Kooky.
Kooky. I mean, kooky as hell. And like, that house is insane.
You know how I feel about that house. Even her outfits, though.
She's wild.
The hot dog?
The hot dog, the little hat. Like, where has the world been hiding her? It actually just is. It's really crazy to see like a new housewife arrive so fully formed like this. Like, she is also a character from House of Cards. She's like a little bit deranged, but also fully in possession of herself. And then she's so rich, and her husband is. I do want to understand more about what Todd does now that he's not at Palm Pilot, but he's still like always in Korea. You know, she's just always calling him and is like, how was Japan? How was Prague? Like, it's crazy.
You know how those people are, like, when they have a very successful business and they sell it, they make all this money and then they want to create the next thing. Like, they sell this business for 9 figures, and then they're like, I want to create something.
They're like,
else.
I'm going to create hologram communication. Like, one day we will be able to record this podcast via hologram because of Todd, Bronwyn's husband.
Yes. He is working on the next big thing. But it is such a stark contrast, too, because he's in his like pullover sweaters. You know, his like, there's no fashion.
You know how you know he's rich? Yeah, because he's wearing that dry fit, pretty ill-fitting long sleeve tee on nameless, brandless. I'm sure it cost $400, but like a brandless, dry fit exercise shirt on the PJ.
Yeah, like he could be Wealth Whispers. We'll never forget Money Talks, Wealth Whispers.
Yeah, you better believe Seth came in there in like his absolute finest garb and was like, "Hey, can I get some free liquor?" Seth was drinking from 7 a.m. Is this a dry
flight or a wet flight?
He brought out a Kalamata, like a dirty Kalamata martini at like noon by the pool.
But
a martini by the pool. It's vacation.
It's vacation. I do like that energy. I do appreciate that. And then, of course, but we also now know he was bringing it out to soften the blow of going back to Ohio. And John, this is why I love John. Like, John doesn't say much, but when he says it, he says it. He's like, maybe next time don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't bring it up like that. Or John walking out at the end of the episode and being like, Todd said, y'all got to calm down or we got to go. And that's what I like. Todd and John are friends, I think. I mean,
yeah,
Bronwyn
I think they're like
friends
through their wives. They've known each other a while. It doesn't seem like they're like besties. John, but it is interesting to see the way that John arrived to the Justin situation, which was obviously more like emotionally heightened. And the way that he arrives to the Todd situation, which is that Todd comes out there, lays down the hammer, and is kind of like, you've got to get Lisa in line. He's like, Lisa's got to cut this out or you have to go. And John just says, I'll talk to Lisa, because what he knows is like, I don't know if Lisa can cut this out. So maybe we do have to go.
maybe we're out of here.
Maybe we'll go.
The last thing I'll say is you can't underestimate what Whitney's doing.
What is Whitney doing?
She is just finding her way in to get closer to Bronwyn. She's like, Heather's my cousin. We're bad weather, but am I going to take up for Heather? I wouldn't dare ruffle the feathers of Bronwyn and Todd. I see the wealth. I see the access. I see the falling apart of a friendship that came in solid. And I'm just going to weasel my way in. The moment Bronwyn walked off, Whitney said, I see my opportunity and I will seize it. She walked in and said, I just wanted to make sure you're okay. I said, Whitney, you ain't slick.
Yeah, because checking
Not
on
at all.
people's real important. That's like, that is what keeps coming up is like, you didn't check on me after this fight. I did check on you after this fight. And it is very clear that Lisa is checking on no one and Bronwyn is checking on Lisa. And yes, I saw Whitney just go in there, do her little check-in. And also like Whitney's purse right now is full to the brim with like free soaps, like anything she can pilfer from this luxury place. She and Justin were in their room and she was like, yeah, I mean, I don't really know Bronwyn well, but this is literally the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. Cause she was just like, they were just outright saying like, we have to like them because this is so nice. Like we have to just be on their side. And you see it as soon as the couples arrive to the house, like the cliques form immediately. Angie, Whitney, and Bronwyn are like this new, I was almost going to say new cast member clique because there is something about Whitney that is so, even though she is an original cast member, is so like deeply nude. She was just always like a lot younger than the rest of them and like a lot less good at this. And so I'm almost happy for her that she like maybe has a gang now. She's never had a gang.
No, she's never had a gang. But I will also say that watching them all ride in the car together, I don't think Bronwyn liked the split up of the groups. I think she'd rather, obviously, she knows Lisa. She came in as Lisa's friend. She would have rather have been with Lisa and Meredith. And I mean, let's not forget how she was talking about Whitney in the car. And it's like Whitney and Justin are the ones who are like, you know, grabbing souvenirs in the house. Like these aren't the people that they surround themselves with. It's not.
And you know Todd wants to be with Seth and John. He doesn't want to be with Justin. Like Justin runs an MLM and Todd runs Future Palm Pilot, Past Palm Pilot, whatever the Future Palm Pilot is. It's just like, it's not a match. And also, if Lisa and John leave this trip, I mean, we're just dwindling. The thing I do think that we have to recognize is that, like, we like Bronwyn a lot, and she seems like a really good housewife. But at this point, there are, like, 2 full people that she didn't invite to this trip who are also good housewives or necessary to this cast, and 1 that she's about to also kick out. So that's kind of where I am with Todd, is it's like, yeah, I like, in real life, I like the protectiveness, I like the principles, I like the morals, but this isn't real life. This is Real Housewives, and these are colleagues, and like, you got to figure out a way to stay together. That's always that's always been the Bible on Housewives.
It's very true. And I will say that after Todd was like, enough, I thought to myself, I'm actually shocked that he gave permission. Because, and I don't say this in a controlling way, if you're married to someone, they have to give permission to be on the show, right? To have access to their house, to their life. I'm actually shocked he agreed to do the show. And wanted, like, I shouldn't say allowed, because that just sounds so bad, but just like was okay with Bronwyn doing it as well. Because he just seems to like, I don't want any drama. As he kept warning her when he was in Korea, I don't want any drama. I don't want to do this. And it's like, but that's the show.
Right. That's where I am a little bit, is it's like, you gave the permission, you signed the papers, you told Bronwyn, like, yes, take this new job. You kind of have to commit. Like, you can't be half in. You can be off camera, but like, you kind of have to let the drama fly. And we'll see. You know, this is his first one. He might get used to it. He's obviously got a little messiness, a little Justin-style messiness in him as well when he floated over to the hot tub and said, let's just call Heather up. Like, there's something there. He's willing to get, I mean, you can't be in business like that and not like be willing to get dirty. So he might be able to grow into it.
TBD. Okay. Prediction for the next episode. Do John and Lisa leave?
I don't think they leave yet, because I think from what we saw from Lisa, I think if she had been offended that Todd said that, she would have been like, we are leaving, and like taken the dominant stance. But I think there is something in her that is actually scared to lose that relationship. So I think she's going to try to get it together And then the drama is going to turn elsewhere at dinner to Sean, the podcast star. And then Todd's going to try and kick someone else out. What do you think?
Well, I agree. I think Lisa's going to go over to Bronwyn and be like, we're friends. You know, like, I don't want to do this. I care about you. I'm like, I don't think she'll say sorry, but she's just going to be like, we're having a misunderstanding. She's having too much of a good time in Thermal. I do think the drama will shift, but only if Seth stays.
Well, he's staying the night. I mean, he's gonna be there for dinner. I also personally believe that Seth knew days ago, weeks ago, he always knew he could only stay on this trip for one day, and he was just waiting to tell her.
Of course.
Oh, he's got to get out of Ohio. This relationship won't last.
It won't last. But also, like, is this what's keeping them afloat? I don't know. Because did he not have a job before? Or he took it.
He has always
where he wasn't
had
working?
like a job in Ohio and not had a job at all. I don't know what he does, but like in the first season when they were so rocky, it was because he was always gone. Then I think he briefly left that job so that they would not be rocky anymore. He didn't have a job. That also wasn't great. Then his ass went back to Ohio.
Yeah, yeah.
There's just no solving it.
I hope that they're okay though. It's better.
I do
when they're
too.
together.
I was like very sad to see Meredith be that sad.
Yeah, she was really disappointed, and rightfully so. It's tough, especially because they're empty nesters.
Yeah,
you know. All right, that is it for us here on Morally Corrupt. We still gave you guys a lot, even though we didn't do Potomac, we didn't do New York this week, but there's a lot going on between the OC and Salt Lake City and Thermal, California. All right, you guys, we will be back next week, same time, same place. You guys have a safe weekend. Bye.